The Apollo program revolutionizes almost every industry in America, transforming daily life around the world.
All the technological spin-offs of the space program research in electronics, in material science, in anything you can name.
Even something close to your heart. NASA devises a way to monitor Neil Armstrong's heartbeat from over 200,000 miles away in mission control. Today, that same technology is used in pacemakers, a device worn by over 3 million Americans to control abnormal heart rhythms. One of the space race's greatest technological descendants actually lives in your pocket. 91% of Americans own cell phones, courtesy of communication networks that NASA built to track space satellites. Without them, cell phones wouldn't exist, nor would GPS maps, weather satellites, or even satellite TV.
We also had a lot of advancement with becoming more of a global society and global economy. And some of the reasons we're going to have this happen are going to be some trade organizations that come about, and then also some technological innovations. So some different technological innovations that are going to lead to changes in manufacturing and productivity. For example, the creation of robotics, which is going to aid in manufacturing. We're also going to see what we call just-in-time production, where the parts arrive at the precise time in the manufacturing process. And then computers can track inventory that's made this way, and it makes communication more possible. And it also eliminates the need for a large inventory of parts. They just arrive as you need them in the manufacturing process or in the assembly line process. And it helped reduce cost and the amount of time to create certain things. Early 1990s. So this unit that we're talking about, which is the most recent, is just when internet comes about. So even just having that and how much that changed the workplace and made things more global, because you could communicate around the world instantly. Something else that's going to help with becoming more of a global economy are going to be things like NAFTA, the North America Free Trade Agreement.
You might have heard of NAFTA, also known as the North American Free Trade Agreement. It was the first agreement of its kind and still makes the world's biggest free trade area. So, just what is it? Well, let's begin with the basics. First, it includes Canada, the US, and Mexico. It was proposed in 1992 by these guys, and it was extremely controversial. Critics feared massive job losses, with businesses packing up and moving production to Mexico. Supporters, though, they claimed that it would lead to cheaper goods, and that would lead to economic growth. In fact, but at its core, it's pretty simple. Before NAFTA, when items were imported, they were taxed. After NAFTA, they weren't. This protects goods made domestically at the expense of consumers, since the tax on foreign products is passed down. Higher tariffs, more expensive goods, less trade. Free trade agreements like NAFTA remove those tariffs, incentivizing trade and lowering costs for consumers. Tariffs were greatly reduced at the start of the agreement in 1994 and totally eliminated by 2008.
Another international organization that's going to help with making things more global for us is going to be the General Agreement of Tariffs and Trade. And then this was created in 1947 to try to reduce tariffs on a lot of different items. And then in 1994, GATT was replaced by the World Trade Organization. So you might see WTO somewhere. And this is an organization that established rules for global trade. And so now we have rules for global trade, and it also helps settle trade disputes. And this is really one of the big effects of WTO that they may ask you, what's the impact of international organizations such as NAFTA and GATT or WTO? Then your response is usually going to be something about accelerating globalization. So it's something you want to remember for this. What's going to help with and accelerate globalization and make us more of a global economy are multinational corporations. For example, think of your places that we're used to seeing on every street corner, such as a McDonald's or a Starbucks. Well, they're in multiple countries throughout the world, or there's certain oil companies that also have a base all over the world, not just in the United States. So expanding that business outside of the United States and being in other countries of the world has also led to this global economy, and it's also led to this outreach of even American culture through these multinational corporations. And of course, going back to what we saw in the beginning, globalization. We have a huge spread of American culture, and some of this is coming from those multinational corporations. And then the other thing that's going to lead to a huge spread in American values is especially the internet. And then now television shows are widely available everywhere. Movies and music are available everywhere. And so you've seen American culture everywhere. A lot of times you'll see the language that business is conducted for international business is in English. So American values and culture are being spread worldwide.